Constantinople was the beating heart of the Eastern Roman Empire. This seat of imperial power was ideally located to project both military and economic control over its vast territories. The city itself had been founded in 324 AD by the Emperor Constantine and bears his name. An initial set of walls protected the capital, enclosing an area of around 2.5 square miles. Within 90 years, however, the city had outgrown its defenses. This posed a distinct threat to the security of the eastern capital in a time of mounting external pressure. As a result, the 4th century had already seen many Roman cities construct walls to ensure their defense. The emperor's throne, however, would require something a little more extensive. Upon the death of Emperor Arcadius in May 408, his son, Theodosius II, became Emperor of the East. However, Theodosius was only 7 upon his ascension to power. In his stead, Anthemius, the Praetorian prefect, held the reins of power. Anthemius was Egyptian-born, but had risen through the ranks to become one of the late emperor's most trusted advisors. He was known as a resourceful man and careful planner. Recently, Anthemius had helped ensure a smooth transfer of imperial power while also securing peace with the Sassanids. This moment of calm afforded the empire the time and resources to address the issue of Constantinople's defenses. Anthemius ambitiously proposed the construction of an entirely new set of fortifications. His plan was to double the area protected by the outdated walls of Constantine. These new walls would run half a mile further out than the previous ones and would span shore to shore from the Golden Horn to the Propontis. This bold plan would safeguard the entirety of the peninsula while leaving enough room for further expansion of the city. The emperor approved Anthemius' plan and commissioned the project. This monumental task took several years and was finally complete in 413. It would prove to be one of the most formidable structures ever built in the Roman Empire, rivaling those that would be seen in China. The Theodosian walls were constructed in 3 layers, with each successive line being taller and thicker than the last. The innermost wall was 16 feet thick and 36 feet tall. Its core was made of strong, packed rubble, with white limestone bricks lining the outside. Enormous towers were placed at intervals along the 3.5 miles of defenses. 96 of these punctuated the innermost wall, with towers standing out to provide enfilading fire along the wall itself. They stood 60 feet tall and held a commanding view of the peninsula. In front of this massive line lay a 50-foot wide raised terrace. At the edge of the open ground, another ring of defenses began. The second set of walls was 26 feet high, with an easily manned rampart. 90 towers reinforced the second level, and were offset from their larger counterparts behind them. In this way, line of sight was maintained and a formidable overlapping field of fire was created. Next came another terrace with a short crenellated wall at its end. In front of this lay yet another defensive measure, a moat 60 feet across and 20 feet deep. The enormous scale of this superstructure meant that any attacker would have to make their way through almost 200 feet of fortifications. A head-on assault would be suicidal. 13 gates allowed passage to and from the city by land. These might be weak points of the defensive network, but could also be used to funnel attackers into predetermined killing zones. The most famous of these was the Golden Gate, located to the south of the peninsula. Originally built as a triumphal arch by Theodosius I, the massive structure was incorporated into the defenses. Additional supporting walls and another smaller gate were used to reinforce this position. The seafront was also defended by another set of fortifications. These were not quite as elaborate, but proved effective enough at thwarting a naval assault. Such a colossal project was a huge drain on the empire's resources, but ensured that it could withstand virtually any attack. Maintenance and repair of the Theodosian walls was financed through partial privatization. The massive towers of the inner wall were leased out. Tenants would receive valuable property with stunning views of both the city and the countryside. In return, however, they would be required to pay for upkeeping the towers. Such support from the citizenry would prove exceptionally important. On the 26th of January, 447, an earthquake struck the imperial capital. The seawall was damaged as well as large stretches of the Theodosian walls. 57 towers had collapsed. The city was open to attack. The particular timing of this catastrophe was especially disastrous as it coincided with the Hunnic offensive currently burning through the Balkans. The city was caught in a panic. The Praetorian prefect quickly organized an emergency response force. Gangs of artisans and skilled laborers were assembled and set to work on repairs. Additional manpower was supplied by the city's two main sporting clubs. These rival teams, known as the Greens and the Blues, were fiercely competitive chariot racing associations. Racers were celebrities, and their fans were often fanatical. The prefect turned this to his advantage and had them compete in the rebuilding of various sections of the wall. For 60 straight days and nights they labored tirelessly to outdo one another. Their Herculean efforts saved the city. This extraordinary feat is immortalized by an inscription in the stonework which can be clearly seen to this day. Future disasters would continue to threaten the city, but would not break the spirit of Constantinople's citizens. Men would also try their luck where nature had failed. The Persians tried in 626, the Arabs in 674 and 714, the Bulgars in 811, the Russians in 860, the Crusaders in 1097. All failed. It was only in 1204 that the concentrated efforts of the Fourth Crusade resulted in the sacking of the city. Even then, the attackers were only able to crack the defenses by first undertaking a naval assault and clearing the walls of defenders. In 1453, the city of Constantinople would finally fall to the Ottomans, who had to resort to the use of massive siege cannons. It is a testament to the strength of the Theodosian walls that Constantinople remained unconquered for nearly 1,000 years.